Hello, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. It's September. I don't know how, I don't know when that happened. I'm not sure where August went. I'm not sure if I was even a part of August. Were you a part of August? But either way, it's September. That means I read some books in August. And as everybody likes to do on YouTube and all over social media, we talk about what books they read in the previous month. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. This month wasn't the most prolific reading month for me. I spent a lot of time in this month on holiday, and you'd think, well, on holiday, surely you're going to be reading books the whole time. I wasn't reading books the whole time. In fact, I spent a lot of my holiday walking, camping, socializing, being outside in hot tubs with just my partner. That was going to sound a bit weird, but in the end it didn't sound weird. It was romantic, it wasn't weird. Anyway, I don't know, outside, listening to sheep bar and climbing Snowdon, these sort of things. So I didn't get a lot of reading there. And the book I had whilst I was there was A Little Life, which in itself is a massive book. It's like 700 plus pages long with small writing and depressing, deep tones. So that's one of the books you're about to see here. And I'm going to talk probably mostly about that one. What I thought I'd do is, because I've only got 4 books to show you, spoiler, I thought I'd go through some of the books I'm hoping to get read in this month now, technically September. Now there's a couple on there that I am already reading, so would expect to finish those in the next few days. And then there's some that I hope to read, mainly because of things such as my library is about to release it, or I just want to read it because it's next on my book list, that sort of thing. So let's get into it. My August wrap up and my September hopefully. So, as it was the book that I already told you I've read, A Little Life was a big part of my August read. I think I started this in July, maybe, I don't know. But I finished it in August and it was quite the slog. Now, it's one of those books, I've done a big video on it, you can go watch on my YouTube channel. Please do go watch it because it explains it far better than I'm about to explain it now. But it's one of those books that essentially you struggle to pick up every single time. But when you are reading it, it's actually really intriguing. And there's a lot going on in this book that kept me wanting to read it. It was just so deep and dark and harrowing that it was like, this is like nothing I've ever read before. I need to keep reading it. In my short summary, I wasn't a big fan of it because yes, it was well written. Yes, there was a lot of themes in here that I think people need to understand. There's a lot of trigger warnings. So if you do ever think of reading this, please go onto a website and find the trigger warnings. See if there's something in this that might trigger you. But essentially nothing ever positive happens. That really, really got me down. So a big thing for me when I'm reading is, yes, I love great writing. I love great stories. I love to feel genuine human interaction in these. But unfortunately, there was just so many depressing things and negative things that happened in this book continuously that it almost felt unrealistic, and that kind of took me out of the story. Every single person that our main character kind of meets within this book does something horrible to him, and it just feels, not every person, if you've read it you know what I mean, but it really felt like there was just constant horrible things happening to this main character. So A Little Life for me wasn't my favourite book of the month. In fact, I had a really difficult month to kind of say which was my favourite. And I think my favourite is going to end up being one that I didn't even find that fantastic. But I know A Little Life's not going to be it. I know there's a lot of praise for it. I know I got probably not even mildly heated, because realistically bookish people are too intelligent to get heated because it's a waste of time getting angry. But responses to the review I put out basically saying it wasn't the best thing I've ever read. Some people said it's amazing, one of the books changed my life, and that's fine. And what I love about those responses is you're just giving your view. You're not saying, Luke, you're wrong for having that view, or you're an idiot, or anything like this. You're just like, yeah, that's my view. And I'm like, hey, perfect, brilliant, because that's my view, and that's how books work. But A Little Life was the first book I finished in August. To break up A Little Life and how depressing and upsetting and sad that book was and how long and sloggy it was, I picked up a Freida McFadden because, yes, the themes are always someone's died or someone's lost or someone's been murdered or something like this, but they're really easy, they're really quick, they're really short, the chapters are snappy. It's a really fun read often to read, and The Inmate was the same sort of thing. This is the author of The Housemaid, if you didn't know, and The Housemaid's Secret and The Housemaid's whatever the second one's called and all sorts. This is the same author, and there's a thing with Freida McFadden, and you're actually going to see some more of her, quite a bit of her in this video, where I'm doing one of two things. One, they're just nice palate cleansers. When I finish a big long book that I thought that was actually quite tricky to finish, and maybe I didn't enjoy finishing it, I just pick up a Freida McFadden because they're so easy to read and I know what's going to happen. They're kind of formulaic. You've got a strong female lead written in the first person. There's some really cliche lines in here, and there's some kind of over dramatization of small things, and then there's a twist, and things are fun, and it's great, and it's easy, it's quick. I can say I've enjoyed it because I did enjoy it, because it wasn't a big thing. It's not some literary masterpiece, The Inmate, but it was enjoyable anyway. So The Inmate specifically focuses on the story of, and I realised I didn't focus much on A Little Life's story there, but that's because you should go watch my full review. In my review, I do a spoiler-free first half and then a spoiler-filled second half, so just go check that out. I'll link it in the comments below. But The Inmate focuses on a character, I don't know their name, Brooke, there we go, starts a job at a prison, and her ex-partner from years ago, who is actually in prison because she thinks he tried to kill her, is there. And that's the story, and then she meets some other people from her past, and then there's a twist, and blah, 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 and it's all great fun, but it's all a bit of drama and all a bit of Freida McFadden. So if you liked the Freida McFadden's other books, you'll like this one as well. So that's The Inmate. That was the second book I read in August. The next book is a book that I probably am going to say is my favourite book of the month. It was Happy Place by Emily Henry. Now, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't spectacular. It's not going to feature in my best books of the year at the end of the year list, because it was just fine, but the rest of the books for me have just been so low barred. Like, The Inmate's fun, it's brilliant, but it's not a fantastic book. It's never going to feature in one of my best books of the year. The Housemaid did, because it blew my mind with the twist. Now I've got used to Freida, less so. Happy Place by Emily Henry is my first Emily Henry. I've heard a lot of positive things about it, and I can really see why with Happy Place. This book specifically, wow, that was a long breath in. This book specifically focuses on Harriet and Wynne, told mostly from the point of view of Harriet. Harriet and Wynne turn up to a cottage, I think it is, or like a big house that their friend's father owns, and they do it every year, and they do it every summer, or they have done it most summers. But everybody thinks they're together and they're engaged, but they're secretly not, and it kind of talks about why they're not, and it's quite a mature reason as to why they're not. It's not some silly thing, something where I was like, oh, I don't really care. It's actually quite a good reason and a mature reason, and I appreciated that. Also, Emily Henry seems to write genuinely good characters. I really struggle with romances. You know, if you've ever watched any of my videos anywhere, I really don't like romances because a lot of the time they're cringy. A lot of the time the dialogue is very obvious, very cliche, very American Hollywood sort of Christmas film thing, and that gives me the biggest ick in the world. So when I was reading this, and it wasn't quite that, there were some difficult conversations to be had. There were some genuinely funny jokes in here. There were some genuinely kind of easy moments and difficult moments, and people lost their temper. I was like, I'm pleasantly surprised with this. Now, as I said, it's not mind-blowing. You're not going to come out of this being like, wow, best book I've ever read. However, if your genre is romance, if that's all you kind of read, I think you'll enjoy this. If your genre is kind of contemporary fiction, is enjoying things that are kind of light, easy, summery reads, again, I think you'll enjoy this. And so this is probably my favourite book of the month, because A Little Life was far too depressing. Inmate by Freida McFadden was not the best book in the world, but it was good and enjoyable, just not as good and as enjoyable and maybe well written as this one. And then this final book I'm about to show you is probably one of the worst books I've read all year. It's another Freida McFadden, and you're going to see some more Freida McFadden in a minute. This is One by One by Freida McFadden. How many times can I say that? Drink every time I've said Freida McFadden, and then let me know how many shots you've taken. So One by One covers a story of some friends, or it focuses mainly on Claire. Friends are going off to a holiday inn, or an inn, not a holiday inn, that's actually a brand in England, but an inn, and to get away, to have some fun with themselves and their friends and all this sort of stuff. But I was picking it up as like a group of friends go to a cottage and then they get picked off on. No. Most of the book is spent them getting lost with no GPS, wandering around some woods, one of them dying, and then they find some place. It's just very underwhelming. I was underwhelmed by that. I was then underwhelmed by any of the characters. I couldn't really care less. They were all actively unlikable. The husband's unlikable. Two of the opposing characters are unlikable. Even her best friends are unlikable. It's all very like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be liking here. Who am I vouching for? And then it's just really short as well. And yes, you can write a good novella. You can write a good short book. But it just felt like nothing great happened. The twist also was kind of like one of those twists where you think they've written it without the idea of having it beforehand. Now, I know a lot of people, when I say things like they made it up as they went along or anything like that, like, well, obviously it's a book. Obviously they made it up as they went along. But sometimes you can write a book that kind of circles round. It feels like it was one cohesive story. And sometimes people and authors do actually have an outline. They have an ending. They have a start, a middle, and an ending, and they know where they want to go with it before they start writing the words. And then sometimes you read books where you feel like the ending didn't feel like it was written with the same purpose as the start. I don't know. But this was just one of those. It was just so average, really underwhelming. Probably definitely my least favourite Freida McFadden book so far that I've read of hers. I've got 2 more that I've got on a list down that I'm going to be reading next month, which I'll jump straight into after this. But I don't know. I'm going to do a video at some point of all the Freidas I've read, and then we can go through and I can rank them for you to let you know which ones are worth reading, because Freida's a huge name right now. Anytime you go on any social media platforms or you go on Amazon, The Housemaid was the best selling ebook of 2023 or something like that. So she's clearly a big name. So I want to do a list, but this one's probably going to be at the bottom. So now I have a bunch of books that I'm hoping to read in September. Now this part of the video is probably actually going to be longer than the bit of what I've read. Maybe not, depending. But these are the books that I've started. So there's 2 here that I've already started, so I will finish those. There's 2 books in here that, but because of my library that I borrow the books from, they're available now or going to soon be available. I have to read them in September. Not I have to, but it fits well. And then there's one that I just hope I read because I'm really looking forward to reading it and getting around to it. So let's get into it and I'll let you know. I think I just scratched my face there. So the 2 books I'm actually reading at the moment are Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang and Murder at the Matinee by Jamie West. Now, Murder at the Matinee by Jamie West is a book I've been reading for a while and it's really frustrating me. The book itself isn't. My ability to be productive with this book is. Now, that bookmark being that floppy is frustrating me. I'll be honest, that's really winding me up. I'll try and ignore it, but I could poke it in. But no, that wouldn't be fun for the video, would it? Murder at the Matinee by Jamie West is his sequel. I think it was Death on the Pier. Jamie kindly sent me this, and this comes out very soon, if not already. And I really, really want to read it so I can get some of my thoughts out there, so I can let everybody know that this book inevitably is going to probably be quite a good book. So Death on the Pier was Jamie West's debut novel, and it focused on a very Agatha Christie set of characters where I think it was set in, like, I don't want to say, early 1900s England, Brighton, based at a theatre. Someone's killed during a play, and there's a cast of characters, and we wheedle it down, and then there's this big finale at the end where he has all of them kind of there, and he points them out and says who did what and why and how, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. This is the sequel, similar premise. We've got the same kind of character. I don't think he's even a detective. He's not a detective. He's like a playwright, but he helps basically solve these crimes. And it's the same sort of idea. So we'll see if it's good. I'm hoping it's good because I enjoy Death on the Pier. It's not some literary marvel. This isn't going to break anybody's kind of mind, blow mind with the way it's written, but they're really, really enjoyable summer reads, detective, that sort of thing. So this is what I'm hoping to finish first this month, though realistically it's probably going to be Yellowface because I've got Yellowface on audiobook and I'm listening to that quite a lot at the moment. My initial impressions are very much, what the hell is the point of this? It's about a woman who essentially plagiarizes her dead friend's book, and then it kind of gets found out about it and has to avoid the social media. It's like a modern version of almost a non-fiction. It doesn't even feel fiction. It just feels very non-fiction, and I'm not sure if I like it or not. Now, it got a lot of acclaim. I don't know if it got a lot of acclaim because the front cover's cool, and I don't know whether it got, maybe not acclaim, sorry, popularity because the front cover's cool, or whether because it got popularity because of the topic and how it's very relatable to if you're an author or if you're a publisher, some of the things that you have to deal through. And that's really cool, actually, to kind of get through from the point of view of an author what's going on when those big claims and those big accusations are thrown about. So that's really fun. But other than that, I feel like a little bit like it's not amazing. It feels really like, I don't know, I feel like Rebecca F. Kuang wanted to tell a story about what that's like for an author, but hasn't made it that interesting and has made it very literal. Do you know what I mean? It's very underwhelming in that sense. So, but I'm hoping to finish that, and I imagine I'll finish this actually in the next couple of days because I've only got about an hour and a half, 2 hours left of the audiobook. So that should be done in the next couple of days. So that's Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang, who I think also did Babel. So I talked about Freida McFadden and how some of her books I'm already read, or I've read quite a few now. I think I'm like 6 deep. There's 2 more that I'm hoping to read throughout September. Now, I'm not hoping to read them because I'm obsessed with Freida McFadden at the moment. I'm hoping to read them because on my library app called Libby, which is where I loan all of my audiobooks for. So I listen to a lot of my audiobooks from the library, which is equally fine because I think authors still get the money for it. The Teacher and the Co-worker are coming up this month. The one may push over into the next month, but realistically they could both come out this month. And so I want to read them and I want to give them a try and see if they're any good. Now, I did see some very bad things about The Teacher. I've seen some very bad things about The Co-worker. But these also may just be people that have never read a Freida McFadden before. These may be people that only read fantastic books all the time and don't get the idea behind Freida McFadden. This is not a literary masterpiece. We're not here to read John Steinbeck's unwritten novel. Not unwritten, that's East of Eden. Do you know what I mean? They're just here to be fun and twisty and yeah, so I'm hoping they'll be quite fun. The teacher focuses on Eve has a good life. She gets up each day, gets a kiss from her husband, and heads off to teach math at the local high school. All is as it should be, except last year, Kasem High was rocked by a scandal involving a student-teacher affair with one student, Addie, at its centre. But Eve knows there's far more to these ugly rumours than meets the eye. Addie can't be trusted, she lies, she hurts people, she destroys lives. At least that's what everyone says. Nobody knows what real Addie, nobody knows the secret. So it sounds like there's some drama going on at school or something. And then you've got the co-worker, and on the back this says, 2 women, an office filled with secrets, one terrible crime that can't be taken back. I thought I said back there. So another sort of drama, very easy, fun read, quick, plow through it, enjoy it, and that's another Freida McFadden that I can add to my list. Then I can do the video for you that says I've read a lot of these. Which ones are worth reading for you? So hoping to get through those 2 in September. And then the next one is literally a book I found in a charity shop like a week ago. Had never heard of it. I'd heard of the author, but I'd never heard of the actual book. And that's Fatherland by Robert Harris. Now, I've read Act of Oblivion and I've read Covenant by, is it Covenant? Starts with a C. By Robert Harris. And I enjoyed both of those. Really historically accurate, really intriguing, really liked them. And this one is about the idea that Adolf Hitler has essentially survived World War II. They won World War II. And in April 1964, the naked body of an old man floats on the lake of the outskirts of Berlin. In 1 week, it'll be Adolf Hitler's 75th birthday. A terrible conspiracy is starting to ravel. That sounds right up my street. I love alternative history. I love the idea of going back to a time where everybody knows what happened and changing that and just seeing how the world's been affected, how the author interprets what might have happened if different things had happened. This sounds right up my street. Now, the reason I've gone from I've never heard of this, picked it up in a charity shop, to now reading it is, again, same as what I said with Freida McFadden. I go through my Libby and I mark a load of books to be held. I think you can max mark 6 at one time. To be held. When their audiobooks essentially become released, you get access to listen to them. That sounded a very odd way of describing that, but that's what's happening. And this should be available within September. So I'm hoping to be able to pick that up and read that as well. I'm really excited for that. I love historical fiction. Oddly, on a completely almost tangential point, is I've been watching 11/22/63 by Stephen King on TV with James Franco in it, which is a similar sort of thing where essentially they get to go through a time portal and try and stop JF Kennedy getting assassinated to help the future. So I'm really on like an alternative history fiction hype at the moment. So I'm excited to read this because this jumps right into that theme. So if you've got any other books that kind of go into that alternative historical fiction genre, please let me know. I love that sort of thing. I have also read The Man in the High Castle. Didn't enjoy that one as much. I think the TV show is actually better than the book. The book was just too short for anything interesting to get going on. But Fatherland is going to be a book I'm going to read in September, hopefully, if the audiobook comes out just in time. And then last, but by no means least, is my September follower pick of the month. So if you didn't know, because you've never watched one of my videos and I've never repeated this a billion times to you, in January, I put out a post across my social media channels and I said, okay, if there's one book you think I should read throughout 2024, it can be from any period, it doesn't have to be a book in 2024 or 2023, what would it be? And then a load of people essentially came back with their answers and then voted on other people's answers. One of those was Legends and Lattes. So there were 12 books in total that I chose in the end, and I assigned them one to each month. And Legends and Lattes is this month's. I'm really excited to read this one. It's been one I've seen on my shelf for a while now. It's called like a cozy fantasy. And essentially I think the idea is that after decades of adventuring, the idea is that I'm going to read the blurb. Viv, the orc barbarian, is hanging up her sword for good. Now she sets her sights on a new dream, opening the first coffee shop in Thun, even though no one there knows what coffee actually is. If Viv wants to realise her plans, she will need help with the unexpected quarters. Yet rivals old and new stand in the way of success, and Thun's shady underbelly could make it all too easy for Viv to take up the blade once more. So I think what they mean by cozy fantasy is often fantasy is like branching out to loads of different worlds and travelling and exploring and big politics, whereas I think this is like all kind of set in a coffee shop, or is it focused around the coffee shop? I don't know. Sounds really fun. A lot of people raved about it. I had held out because the initial kind of front cover put me off a little bit, but this new front cover is fantastic. And the sequel, which is called Bookshops and Bone Dust, is already out and is also looking really, really good. So I'm hoping to finish, or even definitely start, probably finish because I've got the audiobook for this one as well. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I don't think I said the author's name, but really, really excited for that one. So these are all the books that I read in August, along with some books that I'm hoping to read in, oh my gosh, nearly dropped them all, in September. September. Now, let me know if you've read any of the books. Let me know if you agree with my opinions on some of the books. Let me know which of the books I'm hoping to read in September you're also buzzing to hear my opinion on. You could say, oh, you're not excited for my opinion on any of them, but that would be mean, so please don't do that. Either way, thank you for watching. If you've got to this stage, that's amazing. If you've got to this stage and not yet subscribed, that's abhorrent. Please go and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you can't do that because, I don't know, your finger doesn't work today because you got cramp or something from clicking too much at work, just click like. I don't know why that's easy to subscribe. Either way, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.